Hi everyone, this is Vijay Prakash, author of Amazon #1 best-selling book, Slumdog Investor. So in my today's video, I'm going to share with you my book writing journey. So let me get started. Let me give you a little bit of a background. I got very much interested in self-help material way back in year 2005. When things were not working well in my life, this is where I found a book by Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. And I did go through the book, and the book turned out to be a life-changing book for me. And after that, my self-help journey started, and I started reading voraciously. I became a voracious reader. I formed a ritual way back in 2005 that either I will read 10 pages every single day, or there is no dinner that particular day. So this is a ritual which I have followed from almost like 14, 15 years. Every single page. When I go to sleep, I at least read 10 pages, then only I go to sleep. Now, reading 10 pages is very, very easy, isn't it? But reading it for 14, 15 years, that is what gives you an edge. Because those 10 pages will translate into 3,650 and multiplied by 15 years. I mean, per year, approximately 3,650. So approximately, I would say somewhere close to 51,000 pages. Normally, a book size is not more than 150 to 200 pages. There are some exceptional books which are thick, but generally in the space of self-help, you will come across a book which is like 150 to 200 pages. So it was easy for me to read 10 pages every single day. After this YouTube audiobook came in, by that time in 2008, 2009, I was already going through 10 pages every single day. So this particular habit helped me a lot when I decided to write a book. Now the question is, why did I decided to write a book? Because I started going to a lot of self-help training, and what I figured out, the easiest way to establish your authority is to write a book. Now, you can't just start one fine day and you say, I will write a book. What happens is eventually with the time, you start thinking about your message, because objective is not only to build the authority, the objective is to send a message to the world. So I was someone who was very much interested in stock market and wealth building, things like that. But when I went to book writing, I started going to book writing seminars. Here you have to remember one thing: every skill is learnable. Because what I figured out that if you write a book, and I have been a voracious reader, and a lot of content I had which I wanted to share with the world, uh, the book is one way. So I started going to a lot of book writing program, a script writing program. I also learned filmmaking, in order to understand how a story is being told. So if you are really thinking of writing a book, then you should be thinking of also going to a script writing and language improvement seminars, right? Because all these skills you will require if you really want to write a world class book. This can't be one fine day you decide that I'll write a book and I will become a brand. So that is the reason you will see a lot of shabby work also in this space. But if you really want to do a good job, I would say the best thing is to go to a lot of trainings. And I am somebody, if I'm recommending you something, it is not something which I have not done. I'm somebody who is a person of integrity. And if I recommend you something, I will recommend you only if I have been there, done that. So let me show you something. So the title of this video is Power of Failed Project. So once I decided that I will become an author, I started with my first project, which you also see on the cover. And the title of the project was Productivity Strategies of Superachiever. So let me take you to the slides, and rest of the things I will explain you with the help of slides. Okay. So I started with my first book, Productivity Strategies of Super Achievers. So when I was halfway through the book, I realized that when I did a market research, I realized that if I have to sell this book, I'll probably have to go from corporate to corporate, and this is how I will have to develop the market. And somehow the message was also not resonating with it, and I realized that there is a little market for that. So kind of I had to abandon that project halfway. That was my first book, and when you have to abandon something halfway, you definitely get disheartened, and that is what happened with me. I got disheartened. Then I, as I said, I was going to lot of trainings across the world when I was an employee, and this was year 2015. Actually, I went and declared to people that I will become an author, and this is the book which I am writing. And halfway, I had to kind of scrap that project, right? But what you have to remember, friends, it is not the destination which matters. Every journey itself is a reward. So later part of, because life unfolds slowly day by day, right? So at that point, when project failed, I really got disheartened, and I was that time into employee quadrant, training people on the Six Sigma, working for a company, so though I had that mindset, but I was still there in the employee quadrant. But one thing which I kept continued doing was, going and learning from some of the best in the world. And as they say that, your income is always average of the five of the closest people you hang around with, right? So I changed my association. I went and learned from people like Dr. John DeMartini, Jack Canfield, Vivek Bindra, those who are fan of Robert Kiyosaki, Sharon Lecter, who is a co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and last but not the least, Harvekar. I mean, he has got a huge contribution in my life. His courses really transformed my life. So that is what continued. Okay, last year I also attended a program of Tony Robbins, and I actually became a fire walker. There are very few fire walkers across the world of his program. So these are some of the things which really contributed to my success. Okay, so there is a saying that people who practice before the war, they bleed less in the war. I think this is a Spartan saying, that people who practice more before the war bleed less in the war. So even though that project failed, but the experience which came out of that project was something which I didn't realize at that point of time, but that is something which really helped me in the future project. Then I started with another project. The title of the project was No Guts, No Glory, and that was, again, I mean, this is I would not say it's a failed project. I have just changed the timeline for this particular project, and uh, this will probably become my fourth book. So one book, Slumdog Investor, I have already written, and it has hit Amazon #1 bestseller. You know it. And the second book, which I'm working on, which is kind of completed. So if you look at completion of my first book, it actually took me 5 years, because I announced to people that I will write a book in 2015, and it took me approximately 5 years to come with the final product. But remember one more thing: being a Six Sigma consultant, I knew this thing, that when you work on something, the work compresses. Okay, and this is when I started working on my second book, which was also a parallel project which was going on. The title of the book is Slumdog Employee to Crorepati Investor, which we are releasing sometime in March. This is purely a book on a stock market. How do you trade and invest in a stock market? And if you are an employee, probably you can become a crorepati investor. That is what is the description of my book.